You know what I mean? You have to be situationally sound. And Carson Wentz is none of those things. He's a shell of himself, and he's continued to regress mentally. No matter how many times you see a flash in the pan, and you think, "Oh, I think Carson Wentz is back. I think he's starting to feel it again." No, he is who he is.
The Raiders should be much better than what they are, but they're not.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're not the only team that should be better than what they are, right? The Washington Commanders, they should be better than what they are. When you think about the weapons they have on offense, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, and they got two pretty good running backs. Offensive line is shaky, but the quarterback position even more. That's even more shaky. And I know you heard what Ron Rivera said about Carson and that press conference he had. And if you guys that are tuned into the live stream right now, if you haven't heard it, essentially, Ron Rivera was asked, why is it that the other teams in the division seem to be ahead of you guys or more successful or more productive than you guys? I'm paraphrasing, right? But that's pretty much what was asked. And Ron Rivera just sat back with his nice cashmere sweater. He said, quarterback. Quarterback.
Why just say that? You're pinning everything on him. And then he kind of, when they ask him to elaborate, he says like about the good things Carson Wentz does. I'm like, dude, we're in the social media era. We're cutting everything down as much.
Genie's out of the bottle, baby.
Yeah. So
Genie's out of the bottle.
Which brings me to think, okay, this is the guy you defended all summer. This is the guy you defended all year. I know Carson Wentz threw an ugly end zone interception in the final seconds, but we're really going to go down this route? You really want to go back to Taylor Heineke right now? I don't know, Tone. It's funny how Carson Wentz revenge game week 3, and he may not be the starter week 10 when he comes back to Philadelphia because that's how the Commander season is going. And it's not him. It's not just him. But we were debating this in the Slack room at CBS yesterday. They're like, how can you blame a guy who has, 10 touchdowns and he's doing this, he's doing that? I'm like, well, he also has 6 interceptions.
It's more than that. It's more. Yeah. I hate when people use Carson Wentz's stats to like defend him or something like that. It's more than just the stats, man. It's the flow of the game. It's the way he commands the offense or lack thereof. It's the decision making. It's the leadership. It's more than just the stats. Like I'm tired of people using Carson Wentz's numbers to defend his antics and defend, well, he is a good quarterback. No, he's not. Like the quarterback position, I mean, he's a better quarterback than me, but the quarterback position goes more than just the numbers. It's more than just the talent. You have to be able to command an offense. You have to be able to lead men. You have to get these guys to believe in what you're doing. You know what I mean? You have to be situationally sound. And Carson Wentz is none of those things. He's a shell of himself, and he's continued to regress mentally. No matter how many times you see a flash in the pan, and you think, "Oh, I think Carson Wentz is back. I think he's starting to feel it again." No, he is who he is. It's funny. Somebody called him a glorified Blake Bortles, and I was like, "Wow, that's fascinating." What's your thoughts on that?
So I wanted to ask you this before we got into the glorified Blake Bortles thing. Who's better right now? Daniel Jones or Carson Wentz?
It's sad. It's sad to even have that conversation. I never thought I would be having a conversation who's better, Daniel Jones or Carson Wentz. And it don't make no damn sense, Jeff. I'll be honest. I never thought I'd say that in my life. And everybody thought Carson Wentz has a chance to go to Washington with the most weapons he's had in his career to revive his career. And he just doesn't have it mentally. And it's so fascinating watching him from afar because, obviously he was with us and you see his decision-making unbiased, right? You see his poor decision-making objectively. And then you realize, wow, he really is a bad quarterback. Sure, he can throw a nice ball.
At times.
He's a bad quarterback, period.
Yeah. This is my biggest thing with Carson Wentz. And again, he's had good coaching here. But I keep thinking, what if Carson Wentz had Brian Dable as his head coach? Would Brian Dable save him from himself? But we've been through this rabbit hole.
What if Carson didn't get hurt? It's so many what ifs with this man's career, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he may not be a starting quarterback at this time next year. If Washington keeps going down the tailpipe here, and look, the Giants are getting better. That's clear. Even though they're not as talented as Washington, the Cowboys are good already. If I had to rank 5 best teams in football, I think Cowboys are on that. Same with the Eagles. So you're Washington. Where do you go? You're just this bad franchise that has a terrible stadium, fans that don't care, an owner's a joke, and oh, by the way, the guy you brought in for stability, Ron Rivera, he hasn't had a winning record with you yet. I mean, Ron Rivera, I put him on the hot seat list to begin the season.
Yeah.
He may not be the head coach of the Commanders next year because I'm sorry. I think when you blame your quarterback like he just did yesterday, I think you lose the locker room.
I think he already knows what's coming. That was the signs of a man who, like, just look at his body language. Just look at the way he was sitting there. Those are the signs of a man who sees the writing on the wall, right? Hands folded, just relaxed, and gave you a one-word answer. He didn't even blink. And then once he said it, he realized, okay, let me try to soften this up or, round this out a little bit. No, he meant, typically your first reaction is your most raw, most unadulterated reaction. And he meant what he said. And he understands that this is my last year here. I might just call it. I might just move on. I might just take a D coordinator job somewhere and just ride off to the sunset and just retire happily. Like, this is it. I'm sorry, this is it. The Commanders are dead in the water this year. They're going to be dead in the water until Daniel Snyder sells the team. They're going to be dead in the water until they find a competent quarterback. It's a shame because they're wasting the careers of guys like Terry McLaurin. They're wasting the careers of guys like Chase Daniels and I'm sorry, Chase. Is it Chase Young? Chase Young.
He hasn't played yet. So.
He hasn't played yet. Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen. They have talent on that team. That's the weird part. They're talented.
Yeah, they're just very weak at a lot of positions, like linebacker, like quarterback, like safety. And look, Rivera said changes are coming, which I don't blame him for that because when you're 1-4, you got to change something. You have to change something. You just can't keep the same thing. Like we do this. I always joke about this, but like the whole Einstein thing, right? Expecting different results and doing the same things, insanity. No matter what you're doing in life. And the Commanders. Maybe quarterbacks it, maybe not. Toad, I wanted to get your opinion on it. I don't know if you were a Temple guy or not, but how about Matt Rule basically bombing out in the NFL? 11-27 in not even 3 seasons. And he's already out of the league. He's going to get paid $825,000 a month for the next 48 months if he wants to he's going to get paid anyway, whether he's a college head coach or not. To just basically, if he wants to sit on the couch and jump on Good Morning NFC East with us, he's more than welcome to because it just did not work out. He just never seemed cut out for the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning, it never seemed really clean cut with him in this league. But I'm more fascinated with the amount of money he's going to be receiving without doing anything, to earn it or doing anything to signify that he was qualified for that contract. They gave him a 7-year contract. You give somebody a 7-year contract as a head coach, you better believe they're going to turn things around. And I just to receive over $800,000 just to sit on the couch or just to go away, that's wild to me. And it makes me think about player contracts a little bit. You're guaranteeing these coaches contracts, and at the end of the day, you're taking a risk on those guys as well. You're actually handing those guys the keys to your franchise. You're charging those guys with the responsibility of leading your team, leading your most prized asset. They're probably the bigger risk, the bigger financial risk than the players are, if you ask me. It's just unfortunate that he lost his job for one, but it's even more fascinating that a guy gets to get paid after doing such a terrible job and that it's mind-boggling to me, Jeff. What's your thoughts on that aspect of it, really quickly?
Yeah. So I saw a player. I forget who it was, but I saw him like complaining about how Rule got all this guarantee money and this and that. I'm like, well, he's like you said, it's the keys to a franchise. And if Matt Rule succeeds, Carolina's going to succeed, and people are going to go to Carolina. It's a chain effect, just like when you have a franchise quarterback. I don't think people realize the importance of Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and how good the Chiefs are. Everybody wants to go to the Chiefs because of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. No one wants to go to Carolina Panthers because of Matt Rule, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Cam Newton, whoever his quarterback is.
But that's what I'm saying, right? There's a difference between guys like Andy Reid and Matt Rule. You guarantee an Andy Reid contract. You feel what I'm saying? You guarantee.
Oh yeah, well, Nick Sirianni has a guaranteed contract, right?
Right.
I mean, you're taking the risk.
I guess my thing is, right, if you're an unproven guy, the entire contract should not be just how these players, when they come in, they're unproven or whatever. There should be some sort of contingencies or team options or organizational options in these contracts so you can get out of these long-term deals with these head coaches who are unproven. That's just my opinion, man. Because
you know what's crazy about the whole thing, too?
Yeah.
It's not just the Panthers that wanted Matt Rule. Like, the Giants wanted it. There were other teams there were multiple teams that wanted Matt Rule. And you had to outbid to get him to the NFL because he had a really good job at Baylor, and he was building Baylor into a top 10 program, just like he built Temple into a top 25 program. And, it just didn't work. I think his culture does work. I think it works at the college level.
Teenagers.
Yeah. But, hey, some people are like that. I mean, look at Chip Kelly, what he's doing at UCLA. Didn't work in the NFL. And NFL players are a weird breed, man. They really are. They're adults. You have to treat them like adults. And I think Matt Rule did. I don't think that was the issue. But if you don't have the personnel, if you don't have the quarterback, you're just not going to win, period. And by the way, like David Tepper, he doesn't sound like the most rational owner here. Like, he's in the middle of building a practice facility in Carolina and then just stops. Who does that?
You mean like as in like there's an unfinished structure in the middle of Carolina somewhere?
Yeah, I think it's in Spartanburg, South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. He had it was like not halfway done, but it was like maybe a quarter of the way done. And he's just like, "Nah, I'm good. We ain't doing this. We're not gonna build it here."
Wow. See, that's what you call FU money. You can just say, you know what? Yeah, I don't know. I don't like how this thing is panning out. Let me just ball this up and throw it in the trash. See, that's what I'm saying, man. A lot of money getting thrown around to those executives and whatnot. And I know Tepper's the owner, but a lot of money just being thrown around up there just willy-nilly. And then they talk about not taking risk or guaranteeing more money for these players. It's a funny system. And look, my gripe is more so with the system, not really with Matt Rule. At the end of the day, he's a cog within the machine. And look, I'm never going to hate on somebody that was able to secure the bag like that. Look, I never pocket watch. I'm never player hating. You know what I'm saying? Look, at the end of the day, you got to get it how you live, and players gonna ball. So look, I ain't mad at Matt. I ain't mad at it. If I was Matt Rule, hey, look, okay, $800K a month just to chill and relax. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
So I'm not. I can't hate the player, man. Just gotta hate the game.
Yeah. What's the Tupac song? I ain't mad at you.
I ain't mad at you.
There we go. Oh man, now I got that song buzzing in my head.
Oh man,
we got Jordan in the green room yet?
Not quite yet. I'm going to actually follow up with him in a little bit. But as a matter of fact, how about this, Jeff? Let's take a break. I'll shoot a couple emails over to him to make sure he's good to go. And then worst case scenario, if he pops in, boom, we'll bring him up. If not, me and you continue to rock. How does that sound?
Yeah, how's that? And by the way, I might be texting him back up too, just in case.
Hey, sounds good to me.
Yep, I always got someone coming out of the bullpen, Tone. So keep it right here with Good Morning NFC East. We'll be back.